Second part of the day were the meetings. The meetings with who? The meetings with the boss where that pays me money and the guy and the people that I work with. That's the only thing I actually took a note of. Like all of these I'm talking about right now. In the past two videos were not videos that I took notes in the day for because I didn't think they were as important as they are right now. And it took me literally like my head to feel bundled up for me to be like, "Ugh, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna write, and I'm gonna see what comes out." And again, I have my own resistance. The title of this video is going to be Resistance. And I've mentioned it before. External resistance. Oh, fuck, man, I forgot it. But internal resistance. External. I'm going to have to find it somewhere. I'm going to have to read it somewhere. Just like see where I wrote that notes. But anyways, so uh, the meeting with the boss went cool. I really don't fucking care. The meeting with the guys, the team, didn't go. Went well partially, and then was kind of horrible. And here, in the world of change, period, personal change, professional change, relationship change, family change, any kind of change, we understand there's going to be resistance. We understand people are going to reflect. Every once in a while, emotions are going to reveal themselves. But here's what happened. I asked them for daily reports. What happened was they started writing these reports. They were struggling with them. That is only natural. It's the first time you guys do that. And after a few times of them doing it and everything was moving smoothly, they found a way to band together and completely stop doing it. And I mentioned it today. I was like, why aren't you guys doing the reports? The response was, we don't see a point. It's funny because a response like that is literally a childish response from my perspective. You were told to do something, you agreed to it, period. Now you changed your mind. You're going back on your agreements. A man does not go back on their agreements. Or a woman. We agreed. And if you don't agree, say that from the beginning and don't do it. But we agreed. I managed to convince them, which is wrong of me, because I should have figured out a way for them to understand on their own instead of me convincing them. They find it in themselves to kind of like create the reasoning why they should be doing that. And it's no longer a point of whether they're convinced or not. It becomes a point to them whether it's like actually serves a purpose for them or not. But I also thought I did that. And here are the failures of trying something new. How do you respond to that? Emotionally, they did drain me. It was exhausting as fuck. Wow. For 2 hours after that, I was still kind of like feeling the whole what the fuck happened. And that's something I need to learn as well. It's because I've worked with a lot of people before, especially people that think they want something and not really like approach it. But never were they the ones that came to me and said, "This is what I want." They would always basically, I would always know that if they do something differently, things would go differently. And I would impose it on them. But this is the first time where people came to me and they're like, "Hey, we need you to help us. We need you to see things. We need to see things differently. We need to question things differently. We need to start doing things differently." So I didn't know how to deal with it, man. And today is probably the third time they resist me, but this time it felt more like a coup. Like if I was running a company and the the board of directors were to like plan a coup against me. That's basically it. Overall, what they blatantly did was they stopped making the reports. And when I mentioned that, they stayed quiet, dude. They literally were just sitting there quiet. And it's funny, like two people actually work as a team and they have teamed up with each other. And they work with each other in the same office. So they teamed up with each other. But one of them was actually very good and was showing ridiculous signs of improvement. But the other guy, the actual manager, poisoned him. And now I lost a very decent prospect to this nonsense. And I'm not gonna lie, it's frustrating me, man, because if there is going to be a business plan and we're gonna have to have like some deadlines, targets, and goals, and all these things in order for us to reach them, I literally lost a very important pillar in it. And the way they interact with each other is like very, I don't know, it's a cultural thing, dude. It's a cultural thing. And it goes back to desperation and necessity because, like, the guy who owns the company was desperate to find people that are willing to do the job. So these guys, after they did the job, what they did for the next 3 years was kept repeating it. He got complacent because he worked so hard for things to finally work out, and instead of maintaining that momentum and pushing a bit more, he waited too long. And now we're going to have to deal with this kind of like, we're going to have to like move people that have implanted their ways of doing things. All they want to change is what they do in the business. They don't want to change how they conduct their work, how they do the business itself. They want new things basically to interact with new things. So resistance. Externally, when something's kind of like not working, especially for your benefit, that means on the inside there's some form of resistance that's happening with you. There's a certain pressure from you to kind of not move. Emotions don't exist. It's cute. It's cute. Wants to change the way people interact with the world. An external struggle. An external struggle is an internal resistance. And the conversation that went back and forth for over 20 minutes. They literally would say something. I asked them a question, they would change it. I asked them another question, they would change it. And we kept going through one loop. And hear me out. I'm really interested in how people would deal with this. Number one, they're like, we don't have an issue ourselves. We have an issue with the market. And I go like, so the market is bad, basically. They go like, yeah. And we're not able to sell to the market, correct? They're like, yes. It's like, we are not able to sell to the market. They go like, yes, correct. So the issue is not the market. We're not able to sell. That is an issue, right? And they're like, no, 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 no. And they go like, okay, so like, the market is there. And what we want is we want to expand on the market. I go like, okay, so you want to sell more, correct? They said, yes, exactly. So you want more sales, correct? Yes, to sell more, you want to find different markets, correct? They said, yes. Okay, so like to find different markets, why aren't you able to do that? They go like, that's why we hired you. I'm like, that's fucking perfect. And in order for us to find different markets, are we doing anything different? Yes. What are the things that we're doing differently? Oh, we're preparing questionnaires. We're getting to know our client more. I'm like, oh, perfect. What else are we trying to do? Are we trying to change ourselves? How are we trying to change ourselves? Oh, we're trying to. And they look at me and they go like, no, 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 no. I was like, you almost got it. You almost got it. You were about to say, we're trying to organize how we think, how we approach things, which is basically, and they go like, we're following every single thing you're saying. I was like, I'm not saying shit. I asked for two things from you. You're doing one, which means you're not following everything I'm saying. All I said was, let us find the feedback loops in whatever we're doing. Some things are easier because you work with the client, so the client gives you feedback, it's perfect, and we get to think about it ourselves and we go back to the client. The other thing is we have to give ourselves feedback. How do we look at our work objectively? You just go like, oh, I did well today, congratulations. Wow, that's nonsense. And we kept on going on about that for about 25 minutes to 40 minutes. I remember looking at the at the time, and it was like 12:33, but we ended the meeting at 1:18. So there was at least 25 minutes where we just went through that loop, back and forth, back and forth. Don't get me wrong, emotions came up, and it's like we're not kids, and like blah blah blah, and I'm like, listen, bro, I don't fucking care. That's not what I said. No, I was trying to be very empathetic and sensitive. It was horrible. But at one point, I looked at them. I was like, listen, I'm asking you to do this, and you're saying no. That's perfectly fine. Don't do it. And the minute I said that, they were like, no, no, if that's what you want, we'll do it. It's like, I don't understand. Why was this debate back and forth? Because we're trying. I'm like, no, so just don't do it. They're like, but we said we're going to do it. And I'm like, so an external struggle is an internal resistance. And how do you explain to people that a big part of where they are at the moment is because of what they've been doing? And if they want to be somewhere else, they have to do something different. I don't know. That is definitely an experience. And one of the things that I took notes of was like taking things personally or in an emotional way or an egocentric way, or and I don't know what it is. Like, I just at one point I was like, what do you want from me? Because I don't know if I need to like yell, come down, calm. I don't know what it is. But I fixed that at the end of the day, and I actually ended up talking to the third person who understood completely, like, who did the actual report and was like, wow, I look at the day differently. And I'm like, thank you very much. Like, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, so they can actually, like, so he can actually dive into it. But, anyways, that is one of the emotional feels that I got through today as well. Now, the third thing, next video.